Morrison, the most dangerous man in the country. Red Dillard Morrison was born in 1918 in Alabama. He got his nickname when he burnt his hair during a hair straightening accident. He moved to New York City at a young age with his family. He quickly fell into a life of the underworld. In his teens, he held up craps games and numbers runners in Harlem. By the late 1930s, he established himself as a feared gangster on the rise in New York City. Red was most known for his street toughness and his ability to be trusted to carry out crimes. He put together his own crew and became involved in extortion and robbery. His criminal skills drew the attention of local bosses such as Big Joe Richards. It has even been said that Red Dillard was a one-time member of the notorious Bumpy Johnson crew, but the two would eventually begin a gang rivalry for the history books. On the contrary to his vicious street reputation, Red also had a Robin Hood reputation. He always gave back to people in need and often helped starving families in his neighborhood. Red was also called the musical gangster. You could always find him in Harlem's jazz clubs. He even opened a few nightclubs of his own. He had a true love for music. He genuinely wanted to protect musicians from cheap club owners. He had many jazz musician friends, including Count Basie, Thelonious Monk, and Billy Daniels, and even had a romantic relationship with Carmen McRae. He even taught Miles Davis how to drive stick shift. By the mid-1940s, Red realized how much money he could make in the narcotics business. He broke off from Big Joe Richards and started what would become one of the country's largest heroin rackets. He bought product off the legendary New York City Cosa Nostra boss Lucky Luciano and then distributed it to drug runners who would move it into other parts of the country. Red Dillard was now a drug kingpin. In the late 1940s, he began to feud with his old friend Bumpy Johnson. On October 2nd, 1949, Red Dillard stabbed a man by the name of Chink Cunningham after he slapped Red in the mouth in a bar on West 125th Street. In retaliation for his friend, Bumpy Johnson declared war. The two met face to face at 14th Street and 7th Ave. A shootout insinuated. Morrison avoided charges pertaining to the Chink Cunningham and Bumpy Johnson incident for now. He still ended up in Leavenworth after the feds locked him up on a narcotics charge on May 13, 1950. Red got caught selling a half ounce of heroin in his Cadillac in New York's Midtown East. Red Dillard was no snitch. Upon his return to Harlem in 1955, La Cosa Nostra gifted him a brand new red Cadillac. He declined in an effort to stay clean. When his wife died at a young age, he ended up back in the nightclubs with his underworld and jazz friends. He would often cheat on his wife, but her death hit Red hard. He tried to cope by returning to the life he once knew. He was often spotted at Birdland and opened his own nightclub, Red's After Hours spot on 146th Street in the late 1950s. During this time, Red would pick up a cocaine habit. He began to act erratically. He took part in more shootouts, bar brawls, and eventually was sent to the can once again for narcotics. He was released in 1974 and moved to Los Angeles, continuing his drug-dealing life. In 1979, he went to jail for the last time. He received 25 years for narcotics and illegal possession of weapons. He would be in the can until 1989, when he died after a battle with bladder cancer. In his prime, Red Dillard Morrison was one of the most vicious gangsters in New York City. Even in his low points, he would still keep his famous jazz friends and a reputation as being the most dangerous criminal in the country. Red Dillard Morrison, the most dangerous man in the country.